Alex Runyon.
Pat, you have mentioned several times that you're trying to figure things out. Are you there yet?
Yeah, I mean, the complexion of our team obviously changed with less depth, and I think we've adjusted accordingly. And I say all the time, the season's a journey. It doesn't matter if it's Kentucky, if it's us, if it's UCLA. You're always trying to figure things out, figure out the right buttons to push, and putting the guys, your team, your players in the right positions to make your team be the most successful that it can be. And I think our guys have had a great mentality in kind of addressing some of the adversity that we faced, and I like how we're trending forward.
Pat, going back to when you were hired in late March, how quick did it take for you to realize just how big the Louisville, Kentucky game is?
Well, it's nationally renowned. I grew up 90 miles up the road in Cincinnati. And you talk about some of the great rivalries in American sports, really, not just college basketball, and Louisville, Kentucky's one of them. Obviously, being in this town and your boots being planted here, and they made it very, very clear early on how big this rivalry was, but the whole world knows it. The whole world, the entire college basketball world knows the significance and the history, pageantry of this great rivalry. So, yeah, obviously it was solidified in my mind very clearly by everybody, but I was well aware before coming here.
Pat, how does things change for you guys preparing for them if Butler can't go? He's been out the last 2 games. How does he change?
Yeah, my expectation is, in our preparation, is that he's 1,000% going to play, but there's no guarantee of that. Heck, somebody could sprain their ankle in practice today down in Kentucky. Somebody could do the same thing here. Somebody could get sick. You never know. You're preparing like he's obviously going to play. He's a really, really good player, but they're extremely deep. They're very talented, so if he doesn't play, other guys will step up. I'm sure they have the next man up mentality just like we do. But with their depth and things like that, regardless of whether he plays or doesn't, it's a very, very, very potent, dangerous team.
Pat, you've mentioned you prepare for the same for all. Go back to some of the rivalries you've been involved in, and how is it different when you're facing that team?
You guys hear me in these interviews all the time, and I really, really, really believe it. I don't read any of your articles, no offense. Someone sent one to me the other day talking about, and there was a paywall on it, so I had to steal somebody's password and read it, and there was a mention of that we were somehow looking ahead. I didn't even stinking mention the name, the name of our next opponent before we played them. Ever. Like we had the ultimate respect for UTEP. Like there was fear in our guys' hearts because of what they brought to the table. We missed some shots, but our dudes played stinking hard. And then we turned the page and we focused on our next opponent. And as we know, we just talked about it, this opponent means a lot. This rivalry, this game means a lot. And rivalries are what makes sports awesome. On a lesser scale nationally, but within the I-275 loop in greater Cincinnati, Cincinnati and Xavier were a really, really big rivalry. And I was a part of that growing up. My father played at Xavier. I played there, and the city stands still when that game happens. Same thing happens here in this state, but the nation really, really recognizes this one as well. But you could go on and on. I'm going to forget some of them, but I grew up in Ohio, as I just said, and Ohio State, Michigan in football. The state stands still, and you know what? The nation kind of does as well in terms of the college football world. So it's what makes sports great. It's what makes college sports great. Rivalries. Let's just be honest. And Coach Prosser used to say this all the time when he was at Xavier and he first got to Xavier, and they were playing Cincinnati, and there was a bunch of years in a row where Cincinnati won a bunch of the crosstown shootouts, and his quote, and I really believe in this, unless you start winning one every once in a while, it kind of stops being a big rivalry. And I'm well aware of that. I know how much it means to our fan base in this city to win this game, and you know I put everything I got and our players do into our next opponent, and we're doing the same stinking thing for this game, and just to make everybody feel a little bit better at home, maybe a little bit more. Why not? Hopefully that'll settle people down. I understand. It's big to me.
Pat, you were very complimentary of Mark Pope in Kentucky on your post-game radio show the other night. Did you talk about what really stands out about
Yeah,
that?
I mean, gosh, I really believe it. I said it to Bob, and I'm just going to tell you guys how I feel. I think if the season ended today, to me, Mark Pope would probably be National Coach of the Year. What he took over, what he had to build, the way the team has come together, the way they're playing, it's good. I mean, I played, when I was at Winthrop, we played against Kentucky in 19, and I thought that was a really, really good team that we played against. I think you go 2 years back before that, 17, that was a really, really good Kentucky team. In my opinion, this is the best one in the last 10 years. I mean, those ones were decorated with great players, lottery picks and all that, but not only is this team as, probably as dangerous and as talented as potent, but they're older as well, right? They got an old veteran roster. So, ton of respect for the personnel, for Mark as a coach, and we're doing everything we can to figure out, both on the offensive and defensive end, what our best plan of attack is. They make it difficult because of their talent and their scheme. Yesterday's preparation was great. We'll have a great day today. Looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity tomorrow. 5:30? Is that what time? 5:15.
What specifically worries you the most, I guess, about playing Kentucky?
Yeah, I mean, they're a little bit like one of those Noah's Ark deals where they have like two of everything. So obviously, their depth, their pace, and we're a team and a program. I'm a coach that's always hung our hat on, playing at a breakneck speed, tilting the floor, playing downhill. It's hard to do that when you only are playing, a limited role. I'm not saying we're walking the ball up the floor or anything like that, but we've had to make some adjustments to our offensive attack, and you can see that in the analytical numbers in terms of possessions in a game and things like that. Well, they are down stinking hill, man. Like, that ball gets out of the net, that ball comes off the rim, and they are tipping it. I want to say they're 20th in the country in pace, pitching it ahead, tacking with the dribble. And they obviously have ability to attack the rim, finish at the rim, and then they got a million three-point shooters as well that can hurt you from inside and out. So, those are probably some of the main things.
Pat, for you guys, this is, obviously the Bahamas, but this is going to be your first true road game. You've got a bunch of guys who played plenty of these type of games. But how do you prepare this team for the environment that you guys are going to face on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously it's going to be it's obviously a great environment every single game that they play. Right? They played Colgate the other night, and place is packed, and it's electric. But obviously, with the level of this rivalry and what it means to this state and things like that, there's even going to be more of an electricity. And I kind of go back to mentioning when Jody asked me about my experience with other rivalries, when and again, I'm using this as an example, but like when you were on the floor, on the bench, in the arena at the crosstown shootout between Xavier and Cincinnati, it felt different. It felt different. There's an electricity in the air. There's a buzz. It's special, and I can only imagine with the venue that they already have, and then the rivalry, Louisville, Kentucky. It's even going to be more electric. So, listen, you got to tell your guys, because I think this is so darn important, is to embrace it, embrace the moment. Like, what a special opportunity to play in a game like this, a rivalry game like this, in an atmosphere like this. is to embrace it. And I mean, obviously, we're going to be outnumbered by several tens of thousands of people, and that's the deal. I mean, obviously, the whatever it is, 94 by 45-foot rectangle. You know, none of those fans can come on the court, but you know, obviously, the noise that they bring and things like that has an effect on the game, and we have to be able to weather storms. It'll be a game of runs. I'm sure they'll go on some. You know, we'll go on some, and just staying, you know, consistent throughout the course of the 40 minutes, regardless of the decibel levels of the arena, is important, and that's what we have to do and what we have to prepare for.
James played a season-high minutes against UTEP. He was on the floor when you guys took control of the game. He leads the country in field goal percentage. Where's you seen the most growth in him, and what's the next step?
Man, you know, you guys have asked me about James in the past, and you guys know how I feel about him. He's one of my favorite players that I've ever coached because he's one of the most willing learners, one of the hardest workers, one of the most intentional, consumed basketball students that I've ever been around. And he just wants to be great. Like, we always tell our guys, you know, true genius is the result of an uncluttered mind, and to simplify your life. And he's truly about ABCs, academics, basketball, and character. From a basketball perspective, I wish, it's almost like my son, I wish he had more hobbies than just basketball, and he played lacrosse and other things like that, and watched cartoons, played some video games, but all that cat wants to do is hoop. And so it's good and bad if you're too tunnel vision on one thing, but like James gets back to his apartment and he's already watching film of the next opponent, or he's texting me at 2 a.m. and I'll get it the next morning about, you know, a couple actions he saw in the game. And coach, what do you think about, you know, this counter off this set? I mean, it's just how that cat is. But man, does he play hard. And he embraces his role, and that's to be an energy guy. Obviously, around the rim, he's terrific. He contests shots. He pursues the ball. He's a high-energy guy. And, you know, because of the situation with our injuries, he's been forced into a role where his minutes has increased. Same thing with Kenai Roots. And, you know, that's the best way to grow, is to get thrown in the fire. And Kenai has done that. He's done a really good job for that. James has done that, and they're going to continue to grow, I think, at a very fast pace because of that.
But Coach K used to talk about kind of a kinship with First Dean Smith and Roy Williams playing against North Carolina, because they were the only people who knew exactly what they were going through when they played that rivalry game. You're about to kind of step in that circle, similar circle with Mark Pope. Have you reflected kind of at all on just what it means, what this step you're about to take? There's only a select circle of people who know what it's like, who sat in your position and know what it's like to coach this game.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, you go back through the history of this rivalry in our program, their program. I mean, it is full of legendary coaches, iconic coaches, and you know, I'm the new guy in town. I'm not going to speak for Mark, but he's kind of the new guy in town. I'm just Joe Bag of Donuts trying to figure this thing out. I sure hope it gets to the point, you know, 20 years down the road where Mark and I can be in that situation that some of those other great coaches have been in this rivalry. But in the meantime, you know, we're just keeping our nose down, or I am. I'm sure he is as well. Keeping our nose down, blinders on, just doing everything we can to put our team in the best position to be successful. You know, both first-year coaches here at these institutions. You know, I'm familiar with Mark just because, you know, the coaching fraternity is small. I'm familiar with his journey. Kind of came up through the mid-major ranks, similar to I did. You know, he scored 1,500 points. I scored 47. You know, but I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a really good coach. He seems like a great guy. I tried not to like him because I don't think I was supposed to like the Kentucky coach, but he's a man of faith, you know, and a really good coach. And, you know, when 5:15 happens, I mean, we'll shake hands and we'll exchange pleasantries, and when we see each other on the road, we'll talk because I think we have some commonalities. But at 5:15, we're trying to rip each other's face off. And sure he's trying to do it to me, and I'm trying to do it to him. And but you know, there's got to be honor among thieves, and in a a respect for each other, and I have great respect for him.
Jack, when you look at what Javon, he was getting more comfortable already, but when Kaysen went out, he's averaging over 10 rebounds a game. And has his role changed some, and he just seems more comfortable?
Yeah. Just by necessity, right? Just like I talked about Kenai and James being kind of shoved into the fire. I mean, Javon was fully into the fire because, you know, he's one of the heart and souls of our team. Veteran guy, played in winning programs, high IQ, smart, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of been thrust into that position where we even need more, and he's given us more. He's just old reliable, man. Like, you just always know what you're going to get from Javon. He brings it every single day and has become more of a go-to guy for us and has accepted that and embraced that challenge. And I'm proud of how he's reacted and what he's doing.
Pat, you've talked about trying to prepare for a Mark Pope and his system, and there are some similarities in his system to yours in that he wants to push the pace, it's 3 heavy, 5 out to an extent. While it's never easy to prepare for a system, another guy and his system and whatnot, knowing that his system kind of shares some principles to your own, does it make that a little bit easier in practice and film prep and whatnot, knowing that how they do share some similarities?
Yeah, I guess in some ways, you know, there's a familiarity in kind of the schematic things, but you know, you know, I believe it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, right? I mean, they obviously have a really good scheme and good actions, but it's about, you know, the players that are in it. They have really good players. We have to be on it. We got to be on it in our system. We got to be consistent for 40 minutes.
With Frank, he played 5 minutes Wednesday, and then didn't see the court against Duke. I'm just wondering, you know, what does he have to do to get more run in your eyes with the team as that?
Everything he's doing. What's he need to do to get more run? In my eyes, just keep doing what you're doing. Frank's a process guy. He's ready and willing. As soon as his name's called, he runs in the game, gives it everything he's got. He's very intentional in practice and process, locked in on scouting. Goes a billion miles an hour in every drill of every practice, and he'll go in and be very effective when his name's called. So he's doing everything he can do.
Anything else for Coach Kelsey? All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.